totally satire.
No.
But it's a wildly common sense of humor. Like, a lot of people share that together, and that is who I want.
Yeah, well, that's part of ridicule, I would say. Like, but the exaggeration of something. It's also, if you take, so you took this scenario that you saw at a restaurant, and blew it up into something beyond what it was. See, it's another form of exposure there too, because obviously domestic violence is a terrible thing, and there's nothing funny about someone with a black eye, except under very restricted circumstances. But being able to see, one of the things that you do when you set up a terrible scenario and then you make a joke about it is, first of all, you signal to the audience that you understand that this was a terrible scenario. And then you signal that even though you know it was a terrible scenario, there's part of you that can rise above it and transcend it, right? And to make light of it. And I don't think there is anything really more admirable in human beings than their ability to make light of a tragedy. And light doesn't mean to minimize its importance. It means to transform something that's truly negative into something that's manageable and comical. One of the things I've seen with people who've undergone very deeply traumatic experiences is that that they've recovered from their absolute catastrophe when they can start making a joke about it. And my daughter, for example, had a very rough childhood and adolescence. She was very, very ill, and she can tell the worst parts of her experiences in a manner that's like, it'll bring tears of laughter to your eyes. It's screamingly funny, partly because it's so awful. You just can't believe it, right? Of course. But partly because in recounting it and sharing it, you also signaled that it can be talked about, it can be faced, and it can be transcended and got by. And that's what you're doing in real time on a comedy stage. It's like, we share this snake pit of hell that we all live in from time to time, but that doesn't mean that we have to dive in and wallow in it. We can make light of it. And that's what great comedians do continually. And so I thought that's what you did with the domestic violence joke. And you added some nice kitchen-related misogyny to that very rapidly, which was good.
It's a modern twist on an old joke. You know what I mean? It was a real circumstance that happened. I'm sorry. An exaggerated instance that really happened, and I went, this is a classic joke. Why not give my own personal modern twist on it and move on? The joke's like a minute and 30 seconds, and people were like, all he did was bash women for an hour. I go, did you get to the cum? There's so much cum in the middle of the show. Then we talk about airplanes and ghosts and monsters. It was such a minute thing that I go, hey, and I purposely did it first in the show to go, hey, just so you know, this is the kind of humor I like to tell. And if it's not for you, you are so more than welcome to turn off the TV right now. I don't want you to fall in love with me and then paint a wrong perspective of who you think I am. And then halfway through the show, he goes, oh, he ruined it. I'd rather tell you up front, like, hey, we're going to do some dark humor because this is how I personally...
Jimmy Carr does that too. He often starts out with the worst thing he can possibly say, just to establish the boundaries.
Why not? I find it wildly important to make light of dark situations. I feel like you have two options to deal with the situation. You can either, when it comes to a certain topic, you can either let it take up a negative space in your mind and energy to where if the word or topic even gets said around you, you get so triggered and uncomfortable, it ruins your day.
And the day of everyone around you.
Yes, or you can find a way to laugh about it, find a way to heal. So that way, next time somebody brings it up, maybe you have something positive to say about your experience or how you've come to deal with it that can then lead to other people healing through the same way.